So the 3-year-old video is going to be one of the more interesting ones over the next month, anyway, because the 2-year-olds still aren't racing, but these 3-year-olds are going to be racing, are racing, or will be racing. All of them should be racing over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So should be a big push on here for racing coming soon. Adrenaline Rush, you saw him training 18 last week with Brilliant Corners. Kevin's been really, really happy with him. It's March the 13th, 14th. I suspect he'll be ready to go. Yeah, I suspect he'll be ready to go first week of April, I think. But I'll talk to Kevin about that. Same as, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Barbie's Crown. I actually had her entered Wednesday at London and took her out. I had trained her Friday morning pretty hard, and the vet squeezed us in to take 2 horses up to the clinic. And I said, geez, could you squeeze just a little bit more and take a look at this filly? Just scope her, make sure she's okay. She put the scope in her and said she is full of mucus. So, put her on antibiotics, elected not to race her on the Wednesday. We'll race her back Saturday at Flamborough. I'll train her here at the farm. Tuesday, a couple of trips. I'll go a mile and 2.8. Don't want to go too much, but just enough to keep her tight. So Barbie's Crown will race next Saturday at Flamborough Downs. Better's Hope look pretty good again here. Now, he's not as good as Brilliant Corners and Adrenaline Rush, but looked good finishing up his mile the other day. Again, I suspect first week or so of April for that horse. Also, Blue Monk. I still don't know where that mile came from. A bunch of people messaged me and said, why isn't Blue Monk in to go? I didn't ask Kevin. Kevin didn't tell me, but I assume, don't be too presumptuous, but I assume it was probably the half in 55, a mile in 58. Probably thought maybe we'll give him a week. I suspect that's what took place. So he told me yesterday he trained good here, so obviously he just wanted to give him a week. He'll be in to go next week at Flamborough, I suspect. Braemar, I trained Braemar by himself in the wind in 59. Now, he had a great training day. I didn't talk much about this training day on Friday. Eglarian trained in 2-1, last half 58. White Tiger trained in 2-1, last half in 56 and 3. And Braemar trained in 59, last half in 58. Probably 30 on the end of it, but Braemar, it was pretty windy at that point. You really got to get into Braemar to keep him going and keep him coming forward. So that was with a big hood and snake cord on. So I suspect probably either 2 qualifiers or a schooler for Braemar Friday, back Thursday. He could probably qualify, I suppose. We'll qualify him this Thursday and then come back with another qualifier the following Thursday. That makes more sense. What are you up to, bud? Nothing? Okay. Brilliant Corners, I thought looked fantastic. Now, a mile and 18, he's still quite a ways from the races, but his mannerments, his attitude, his overall behavior has changed quite a bit. I was able to sit him in the 3-hole no problem. When I moved him, he methodically kind of coasted up alongside the leader. I called on him at the head of the lane. He was gone. So very happy with Brilliant Corners. He looks fantastic. Broadway Roll, very unfortunate, made a break. 2 winners, 2 horses picked to win, 2 horses made a break this weekend. We had 3 winners. Tanzanite Trick, Scratch Stick. Broadway Roll made a break from the rail, and I run Donato off his feet. So a lot of money left on the table. I don't want to blame Travis for his drive, but I'm certainly going to blame me for my drive. So Broadway Roll, little break. She'll be back next week. Probably the rail isn't the best place for this filly. You know, to really spark her up off the rail. Probably the 4 or 5 hole, let her coast out, and as she hits top speed, then you can mush her. But I think if you snap her on the tail and ask her to come out of there quick, you got to be careful. The week before, you had the 2 hole, the horse on the rail wasn't even on the gate. He just kind of kept a hold of her, like driving a horse coming off a qualifier, let her coast into the turn, and then away you went. And I think Travis pretty much agrees. He said that to me last night. The filly, you just kind of snapped her on the tail, and she rolled off. She did that to me in a 2-year-old schooler at the 3/4 pole of all places, so maybe I'm not completely right, but I suspect her and Donato both will not make breaks next week, and both will likely win the classes they're in. What do we got next? Can't Muscle Me. I know that Harry wasn't very happy. We made a couple of shoeing changes on. I told him, I said, Can't Muscle Me made a break coming out of the gate in the schooler. I thought she was just slipping with the flip-flops on and maybe too much weight. I said, let's shoe her like a racehorse, and then we'll qualify her. He went to train her here, and she wasn't as good with no hobbles on. But I suspect when we put the hobbles on, warm her up a couple of trips on Thursday, I'd be very surprised if she didn't qualify in 2-1. Captain's Maid qualified in 58, I think Thursday, if I'm not mistaken from the correspondence I got from Harry. Thursday, she will race at Flamborough Downs, I believe. Cut the Line will qualify. Cut the Line Thursday is frustrating because we had to stake her. I wanted to sell her before the staking, but we'll qualify her a good mile and then move around. She's just not going to be a stake horse. I mean, there's no point beating around the bush with this. But if we didn't pay that $800, we'd never sell her. Who would? It's just the way people are. Even if you were buying a horse, you knew it wasn't a stake horse, and it wasn't staked for some reason. Anyway, we paid Cut the Line into the OSS. Who knows? She might do the third tier. Who knows? So, Cut the Line will qualify on Thursday. First glance, I just saw him in the barn. He looks like $1 million, fat and shiny. Oh, can you go in and see if the bag is done running? It's on the horse right there. Just see if it's empty or not. Quick, right now.
I don't want to get stung by a bee.
No. How did you get stung by a bee? It's 2 degrees out. Bees flying around.
So, it's probably empty, bud.
He's looking at a wasp nest or a bee's nest. First glance, looks like $1 million, fat, shiny, looks really good. He'll be ready to go April. Fox Valley Britska. Now, I'm not a gambler. I never complain bee. In fact, I am the worst gambler on earth. Horrible. That's why I choose not to. So, Jason believes that Fox Valley Britska's sitting on a win, and I tend to agree with him. Drew the 2-hole. He thinks he's in better shape. He thought that last week's break was an equipment break. He thought that he grabbed a bell boot. There was a big hole and a rip in the bell boot. That horse never runs where he ran. So he called it what he believes it was, an unfortunate incident, but nothing that he believes will be repeated. He believes out of the 2-hole, the horse will be good, and I agree. So watching Fox Valley Britska very closely this week at Northfield Park. Frilly Fringes, a poor effort last week. I don't know what I'm going to do with her. Am I going to take her home? Am I going to leave her there for now? She had a quarter crack right hind of all places. And then just a poor performance the other day in the mud. Certainly don't want to follow that up. I said, Tim, do not enter her this week. I want to make sure her blood is right. I want to make sure she's right. Ultimately, I'm mulling over whether I'm going to give her a week off. Okay. So, I am running out of time here. Where are we at? It says, you know what? I didn't erase my videos from last week, and it's filling up my memory in my phone. So, we're going to leave it with Frilly Fringes. I'll be back in just a minute. I just got to erase all the old videos. I think I got 2 weeks of videos in there. Should have looked before I started. So, we are done now with Frilly Fringes. I'll be back in a minute with a perfect place to start. Girls with Swirls.